One of the problems that we had in the world was we the people of the world, were so divided.
We're still fighting against one another. We're still not coming together, and we just need to be reminded.
If they only understood, we are all trying to survive and trying to do better.
We are living in a very serious time, and America has huge potential and opportunity to seize the 21st century. We're only going to get there, though, if we have a serious conversation about the things that matter to people.
World Blue actually was birthed from the idea of being able to present music from around the world. Hakeem and I were talking about some things as we were talking about the next project and the thoughts that we were going to do for the next project, and it was amazing because just putting the ideas of music from around the world, from Africa, from Asian music and everything, actually was a big challenge, but I thought that was something that everybody would enjoy. Because actually it was funny because we were starting to listen to other groups such as Les Nubians. Yeah, for French, and I never thought that I would actually have the opportunity to sit down and even write a French song for this particular album.
J'ai vu, j'ai vu pour toi, j'ai pleuré pour vous, j'ai du tout.
So when we actually started on this project, we were in Galveston at a gig, and I think you and I, Edwin, sat down for the first time. You remember that conversation?
I do, and I remember exactly how we were sitting because I think you were in the middle, Edwin's on the other side, and I was on that side, the left side of you. And we were sitting underneath the lighting system, and we just, okay, well, let's just talk about some things, and let's just kind of challenge each other's brains about what we're going to do, how we're going to approach this. And, we knew that from that point, okay, this is going to take some real serious construction.
We were just discussing the ideas of what type of musics we would explore. Mostly, I think the first thing we brought out was Indian music because we were really excited about that idea, and we just wanted to make sure we covered all the bases.
I remember the idea about doing an African song came up. We talked about like what we would do, like my thinking, I was like, we can go to Africa and record some African, record some people, with some African drums, like we can get the whole thing. So that's kind of
authentic.
Yeah, real authentic, real authentic music.
When we first started talking about it, my thought went to the Caribbean. Santana.
Yes.
Mongo Santa Maria.
Yes.
Chick Corea.
Willie Bobo.
I started thinking about that, and I said, yeah, I know a conga player that's out of sight.
Right.
And, and then she started saying, well, I want to do, a world song that, goes other places other than just the Caribbean and just Afro-Cuban. And I said, okay.
One of the things I brought up to Terence when we first sat down and we're trying to brainstorm is that listening to the world, it's kind of hard to go out to them to pull the essence of their music because they're listening to us. Yeah. We're like the forefront of all of the music. Yeah. So you listen to them, they're trying to mimic what we do.
And I think the other thing too, T, we were talking about the challenges of how, musically being challenging. And I wanted an album that was going to be over the top. Live to Love, just awesome album. I'm so proud of that work, and you did a fabulous job with it. And then we turn around and immediately jump right on to the holiday album. And I knew that the next album, I was listening to so many other artists, and I wanted to be like, you know, over the top.
So our first studio session,
Oh, man.
God, we got ready to record, and like, I think we tabled the recording. We started
You shut
recording
me
something
down.
because it was
Yeah.
it's like, no, this is just not it. This is not working.
Shut me
So
down.
like,
He did.
like we need to go back to the drawing board. Let's get some practice in. Let's try to work out, because again, we were looking for the authenticity. So we wanted to, and it is challenging when you go from what we're used to doing and what you're doing in your comfort zone. Even me and Edwin and I, you know, producing the music, we had to think differently. We had to kind of put on a different hat, you know, to kind of look at this from a different perspective and say, let's get outside of this. So the rules and stuff that we would normally use and what we normally do, we kind of had to put that aside, and that took time. Because it's hard. Our first thing sitting down is like, okay, this has to be this. Like a chorus has to be this many measures, and you know, has to be even and has to do this. But we kind of took a different approach. Said, man, let's throw all of it out of the window. Let's just make music, you know. So.
But I think, you know, the whole thing about having more originals as opposed to covers was the thing that, you know, really, I think makes this particular album probably a really, you know, I mean, it's you know, it's monumental.
We're talking about writing original music, but we had to use something for inspiration. You know, we had to find some stuff like, okay, this is what an Indian song is supposed to sound like. Teresa and Edwin and I, we went back and forth about an Indian vibe quite a few times about how we were going to actually accomplish this Indian song. So like it took a while because we had to get like the certain type of musical scales and stuff that are specific to Indian music or Hindu music or whatever it is, and we had to incorporate that stuff in a way that people can understand it, that's going to listen to it here. So we had to we had to mesh what she does with, you know, that vibe. So that's one of the challenges that we had too. We had to search for it because we didn't have, you know, a person who plays an instrument like a berimbau or something. Like we didn't have a berimbau player. You know, we had to look for alternatives for that kind of stuff. So even Edwin and I, with the Indian song we were just talking about, we went back and forth. He was looking for like a long time for like these Indian sounds that we were going to use in the song. And then once it's funny because once you get those sounds, that's what gives the inspiration.
Exactly.
So you hear that song,
Right.
you hear that sound, it's like, okay, I can hear that doing this, I can hear that doing this, and I can hear that doing this.
So as far as the writing and actually formulating this album and all the music, I know that one thing was important to me was making sure the music was active and energetic. And so I wanted it to speak. I wanted people to vibe to it. I wanted them to, you know, groove to it, so to speak. Amazingly enough, I teach, and my students, we performed that song we had a Hollywood star program this past fall, and we performed, my third graders actually performed We Are the World along with my choir. And I chose that song because it had all the stars in there. It had Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, you just go down the list. And I wanted all of those wonderful people to be represented, so that's why that inspired me. Now, for some reason, when we were working on World Blue, We Are the World was like, okay, why not?
She brought it to me and said, okay, what about We Are the World as a song? And I was like, We Are the World. But I said, okay, I always kind of, you know, step back and said, let me give it a chance. And then I pulled up the video of the original song, you know, the Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson, and I was like, this song is still magical. Like this song, I mean, this is it. And like I just thought that it was a really, really good idea because of the times we're living in now. I mean, the generation that we live in now, they need to be inspired by songs and music like that. So I just thought it was an awesome idea. And then when it finally clicked to me, I started saying, oh, okay, so like we could do this instrumentally and we can, you know, use other people and we can try to do this here. So we kind of I guess, tossing ideas back and forth with each other and said, okay, let's make this happen. I guess one of the ideas that I brought to it for vocals, we had just done the Christmas concert at a local church here in the city, and the choir at that Christmas concert was a massive 70, 80 voice choir. So we were, and it just clicked to me, like, what if we got them to like sing like We Are the World? So I passed it by her, and she was like, okay. I mean, she just literally said, okay, let's do it.
Exciting.
Yeah, so
I think when the song was originally done, it was done for Cause for Africa to aid the poor that was in Africa. But I think it's a timeless song, and also the fact that, you know, now that we're in the age of the internet where we're connected, we're all connected now, and I think that, you know, again, this song evolved into something that's special, and Teresa recognized that in her own way, and now she's utilizing that to make a song out of it.
The second recording of We Are the World was even more exciting because they actually brought it more so to the here and now. They used younger artists, they used, you know, people like Pink and Jamie Foxx, but it was for Haiti that time, the second time. And so on that particular album, they had rap, and the beat was even cooler. So my kids actually performed that song, and the little kids, my boys, learned the rap, and they performed the rap. So it was really, really cool. So I was thinking, okay, now how can I take this song and transition it as an instrumental and still have that same power and effect, but put it together was a thought process for real.
Once we decided on a roster of people that we wanted to use on the song, then it was a matter of trying to get them, you know, into the studio on dates that we were just kind of worried about, like, okay, are they going to show up? Are they going to be here?
Was the actual Terence asking me, like, look, you got to sit down, T. You have to sit down, and you're going to have to map this out. You're going to have to, everybody's going to have their part. I mean, securing artists and calling them, and it was kind of disappointing, you know, because I really was shooting for some really, you know, amazing artists. But, you know, we know how the industry is, and everybody's busy and their time and everything. But we were able to nail down artists and get everybody locked in. Then it was sitting down and actually, you know, writing a script. That's basically what I had to do. And it was a new experience, you know, and it was challenging.
Just this one song, We Are the World, has been kind of frustrating with trying to script it out, trying to you know, decide who's going to do what and what's the best approach to take to it, because all of the instruments that we decided to get, you know, some of the instruments just didn't work well together. You know, say like a violin and a guitar, you know, both playing in the same register just didn't come out that how we expected it to. So I have to kind of look at and listen to what instruments and stuff work well together and which ones don't, make decisions based off that, and try to juggle them around and try to move everything in place so the song makes sense when somebody listens to it, and it's not this irritating, you know, kind of clashing sounds and stuff that's
There was one thing when I mentioned to Teresa about Lionel Richie made a comment when he was speaking to someone. He was talking about how difficult it was for him and Quincy Jones and Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson to put that song together, and how long they worked on it, and how they had to go through probably the same process
I can imagine
that you did.
Yeah, so We Are the World, I think, of course, like even with us writing new material, We Are the World actually was one of those songs. It took some days. It took some meditation time. I mean, you have to actually sit down and visualize and hear these things. And I guess sometimes even we were talking about even after everyone had finished their recordings, and actually we listened to all their different parts, and I was trying to explain, like for instance, Johnny plays trumpet, and Johnny, I want you way up there. Okay, T, what is way up there?
right. Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
Oh, wow. So like T, okay, but he needs to be a third above you. Okay, but Johnny was like, okay, well I don't hear because can you send me this? And so it was one of those situations that I think we had 2 artists that recorded in their cities. So,
now, one of the things
awesome.
about that studio session, though, the day that they came in, like I say, despite the stuff I mentioned earlier, like these guys are beasts. Kyle himself came in. Kyle just has this kind of, I guess, he just has this thing of confidence. He's very confident. So he came in and is like, hey man, what's up? Let's get this done. And I put a mic in front of him, and he just nailed it. He's like, what else? Like literally, like I'm serious. Like I promise you, it was like we were done. Like we recorded just him alone in about 20 minutes. Like all of his parts were done in about 20 minutes, and he just nailed it. It was just like, okay, so you want me to do this? All right, let's go. Hit record, and I'm like, he's pushing me, and I'm like, dude, I'm not ready yet. Let me make sure these mics and stuff are set up. So I hit record, and like he's just going for what he knows, and it sounds great. It came out amazing. So like. That was the great part of the experience with working with with other artists and people who believe in it's not only Teresa as an artist but believe in the song as well. One of the things we asked them about We Are the World is did they think that We Are the World was still an important song? And across the board, basically what everybody said was that for the generation that we're in now, I mean, that song is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely necessary.
Totally relevant. And even, with us doing this today, this is also educational. So I can say this as my little educational teacher bid, like be prepared. I cannot tell you enough to be prepared. If someone hires you or submits your work in for whatever it is, know what it is. Spend some time with it. Study it.
What you said, I think, is key. I think that's something that people should take away from this, what we're doing from this album about being prepared, because one of my mantras is that if you stay ready, you never have to get ready. So, and that's for me, that's a preparation thing. So if you stay prepared, if you always know what it is that you want to do, have your objective in mind and ready to do it when somebody calls you, it's not, okay, man, give me a day or two, give me a week or two to get this together. No, dude, let's roll. I'm already ready to go. So, and I think that's a very important principle that people are missing when it comes to, just their general lives, what we do in our everyday lives. So I think just principles like this about like the whole world thing and how we can come together, I think that kind of plays an important role in that, because if we can become individual people, the people that we're supposed to be, then it helps everybody else out. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that's important point you brought up there.
So for me, I cannot thank everyone enough. It is a lot of work. It's been a lot of sacrifice. I do have a great family, but most importantly, I have God on my side, and I have wonderful supporters, and I have a great team. So I cannot do this alone. But World Blue is an amazing project. I was able to listen to some of the samples of the editing and the pre-mixing, and I have to say honestly, it's an amazing work. You guys can be you're gonna be blown away. So World Blue, coming out March 2015. We Are the World will be the signature song, as Hakeem mentioned, and we have some amazing artists on the album. We have amazing producer and writers on the album, and everybody's sitting here. Everybody that's a part of this team is sitting right here. World Blue!